All right, Chuck. We just finished talking to Skipper of the Fade to Obsidian podcast, which is on YouTube on Wednesday nights. I believe they go live. And it was a really good conversation about the chapter 25 Tribal War. There was some tough material to talk about, and Skipper was kind enough to come on and kind of guide us through that in a way that I feel like was better than we would have done on our own.
100%. And she brought up some good points and some paths that we didn't really see at first. And after a couple
Fully.
reads, we still was mind blown. So awesome. Thanks to her for joining us. Like that was really cool. She's easy to talk to, and it was great.
Yeah, she was great, and there was a whole bit where she was talking about how the goal was to create the fear about our women.
Yes.
Our women is the concern. And being a guy, I totally read past that.
Yeah.
Did not pick up on that because I was thinking like, oh, Quinn is one of ours.
Yeah.
She's one. As I'm reading it, I'm like, I'm one of Darrow's tribe, so I'm hearing what he's saying. I'm in their little group, and so Quinn is one of mine. She's one of ours, and Skipper pointing out that like, yeah, that's the fucking point.
Yeah.
That's what the goal of that whole strategy is. Really opened up my eyes to the idea of like, oh fuck, that's part of the
Yeah.
problem, because once you get into that like really tunnel vision view of your people, your women, your group, well, you stop caring about what happens to the other group's people, the other group's women. And yeah, it was informative and enlightening, and we really appreciate her uh, giving us the time and coming on and being so gracious with her time and her thoughts. But now we are moving on to chapter 26, which
Yeah.
is very important because this is the chapter that we first meet Mustang. And in particular, the chapter is titled Mustang.
Yes. Is
Do
that
you
a
have
question?
anything to add to that? Well, it was just kind of like, oh, mic drop. Now you
Yeah.
say something.
Yeah. All right. No. So since the beginning of this book, you get that little this woman pops up and makes little jabs at Darrow, or they have that little moment in the locker room, and then
Okay. So no. Why don't you flesh that out? It's in my notes later, but since we're already there, who is Mustang? How do we already know her?
all right. So we do know Mustang from when Darrow first tries to ride a horse with Mateo, and he falls off the horse, and she insults him. And then when they were doing their testing, Darrow goes into the locker room, hears somebody humming the song of EO, and he goes around the corner and happens to catch a half naked woman, and they both happen to blush at one another. And that ends up being none other than this person, which is the title Mustang. And we find out why they come to that name. But yeah,
Well,
but yeah,
what's her actual name,
Virginia Au Augustus.
and why is that important?
It's important, which I don't even think they get into in this chapter at all, but that is
They
Nero's
don't.
daughter. So it is none other than Nero, the one who Darrow said he's going to kill for killing his wife Io. She is his daughter.
And what does the name Virginia mean? Think back to the founding of Virginia, the colony. Who was the queen at that time?
I mean, the Queen of England? What are you talking
Yeah,
about? Oh,
that's why
I
they
had
named
nothing to do with that.
Virginia.
Yeah, I didn't know
This,
that's why they named that state that name.
yeah,
Yeah.
because Queen Elizabeth I was the Virgin Queen, and Virginia means virginal or pure
Oh,
or
well,
maiden. Now
very
we don't. It doesn't. Again, this is one of those little factoids. It probably
yeah.
doesn't mean anything, but
Well, we learned
I
from
don't know.
Skipper last episode. I mean, some of your factoids are pretty spot on. So
Cassius
that's huge.
Belli,
Yeah,
Cassius Bellona. Come on, that makes
yeah,
all the sense in the world. I literally was like, tinkering that with that for like months, being like, that's got to be why he did
Hell
that.
yeah.
That's got to be why he did that.
You put that on your scoreboard, on the whiteboard or something. You got to, all right, we know this is
Right up
verified.
here.
Yep. Hell yeah. Put it up
There
there.
we
That deserves
go.
it.
One. It's there we go. One.
Hey, it's
Um,
something.
it's something. I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna ride with that for a while. So the themes here in this chapter on Mustang, chapter 26.
6. Yep.
Yeah. Uh, and also, if I sound particularly um, flubby with my S's, because I have a hard time with S's, as you know,
Hmm.
I went out for dinner, and then my wife and I saw the movie Weapons, which was very good, very entertaining, creepy, but not like overly terrifying. And I also had a couple of drinks with her, and then I did a den dunk for Skipper in the last episode, which was not as bad as I thought it would be. An
Yeah.
Oreo and whiskey I never would have put together, but they actually aren't the worst bed mates that I've ever encountered in my life. So I apologize if I sound mushy mouth when I speak. But the first theme that it strikes me in this particular chapter is strategic thought. I'm giving myself a hard time because I'm using lots of S's
Yep.
right now, but strategic thought comes up over and over and over. We have Darrow sticking to a plan that he generated in the last chapter of how to bring Titus to heel. And even though things aren't going exactly as he planned, he is evolving, he is flexible, he is malleable, and his plan works on a number of different levels. So it allows him to change and reorient himself as the plan needs to be reoriented and change, which I think is like huge growth. This chapter particularly, I think we see a lot of growth in terms of Darrow himself typically being the hammer.
Yeah.
You know, the old saying, if all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail.
Yep.
That's Darrow in a nutshell. But here we start to see him. Okay, well, it didn't go exactly how I planned. I thought Quinn was going to come back and deliver that message and come back to us, and then she was captured. So what do we do next? Um,
And that's huge. That's his ability to adapt and overcome situation and don't let it bog him down to the point where he just like shuts down and it's like, oh, we're fucked. Like he doesn't do that. And to your point, he's that growth of being able to go with it, go with the flow and change things, but still get your goal completion. Like that's awesome. It's huge. That it shows how much of a great leader he is.
yeah, and there's a famous quote. Dwight Eisenhower said that, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he said, even the best laid plans don't survive contact with the enemy. So you gotta, even no matter how good your plan is, you gotta be able to adjust it as the situation calls for. And he's doing that here.
Pivot.
Who's doing it better though?
Hmm.
That would be Mustang. Um, we find out as we'll dive into the recap, she has a plan within a plan within a
Yep.
plan within a plan, even to the point where they in within the conversation that she is having with Cassius and Darrow here, two people that she doesn't know but knows of, for all intents and purposes, she knows of them but is not familiar with them. She is sussing out information.
She can read
She
them.
is she can read exactly. She can read them like a book.
Yep.
And then she's also on the fly. She's made her plan loose enough where whatever she needs to do or whatever direction she needs to go in, the plan can move with her.
Yeah. Yep.
Um, so my question, and then the third person is Severo, who's in on the same strategic wavelength as Darrow, but he might even be more committed, as we'll see later. Like he is willing to go to a length that Darrow didn't even think was necessary.
Yeah. And yeah, and it comes down to a simple question later on. He's like, "Do you want me to?" Like he
Exactly.
doesn't matter what he'll do it. He's like, I'll fucking do it. Do you want me to?"
So I have a question for you really early on here, but
Hell yeah.
with an understanding of that, you're in the institute and you're in a house. Which one of those three types of leaders are you following?
You know, I would probably out of so Daryl, Mustang, and Severo, I'd probably would follow.
You have Darrow, who is like an axe blade. You know,
Yeah,
there's momentum behind him, but he is singularly focused.
yeah.
You have Mustang, who is like a net. You know,
Six
she's trying
step
to capture
ahead.
something, but she's moving in multiple directions. And then you have Severo, who's a bullet, you know,
Yeah,
just going
just
straight
a
for the
sniper
thing
rifle.
at all costs.
That's tough. It would probably. I would have to. I would hope for Mustang, but I would probably be pulled towards Severo if I
I
had
know.
to. Yeah,
I know.
that's just me knowing me. But yeah, I would hope Mustang. She's the whole package, and it's like something that I loved in this chapter. It's like how she was reading Cassius and Darrow, and I was like, dude, she's badass. She just picked that up just from looking at him for a matter of like a minute, and it all
And
made
we'll
sense.
get there, but the idea of like, I think, especially as you read further into the series, Severo is tempting
Yeah,
because Severo, if you did what he wanted to do, you would have an outcome quick.
yeah,
It might not be the best, and it might be bloody, and it might be a really devastating outcome, but you would have an outcome.
yes, yeah.
And Mustang is a long con. Like she is playing the game all the way to the last hand. And so that outcome is very slow in getting to you.
But
And Darrow is right in the middle somewhere. Like he's
I,
trying to force an outcome, but in a short span of time, but you know, trying to play both sides. Um,
I
I
feel
don't
a
know. Is
little
that
different too. I see like Severo, I would have a little bit more freedom where he's like, this is what our goal is. This is like an idea of how we're gonna do it. And then like we're rogues, out like doing our own little mission. Where Mustang, she's more
tribe of one?
yeah. And Mustang's more of like, here's a strategic plan. This is the backup. She's more informal on what's going on. And Darrow is not. He doesn't tell anyone his plans because we know why. He doesn't trust anyone and he's a red pretending to be a gold. But how do you work with that? Where you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. You fucking won't tell me what to do because you have this, yeah, you have these plans in your mind, but you're not giving me the whole scheme.
Well, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. So I don't know how many episodes in we are now. This will be like 25 episodes, 20 episodes in. And this whole time you've been talking about how Roke is a bad, evil guy. But it
Yeah.
sounds like to me you understand exactly where Roke is coming from, which is to say, he's just pissed that he's not being let in on what the plan is, but he's still being told what to do.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel like maybe you
Uh,
and Roke have a similar idea of what's going on here.
that's fair. And I'm human. I make mistakes. But I love shitting on Roke because you feel bad for him. And
I
I,
don't. I don't fucking care about
yeah,
Roke.
you
I
do.
just want you to see that Roke is not evil. You know, he's an empathetic human being in a
I
world
agree.
of gods.
I agree.
You
But
know,
there still will be more situations where I bring up, I'm like, Colin, this is a little suspect. Look how it keeps coming up. But no,
do you know
after
this?
being shunned out for so long, after so many years, through so many battles, and you're like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? You won't tell me the whole plan. That would frustrate the shit out of me. And I feel like
Okay, Roke.
Mustang wouldn't. Mustang wouldn't do that. She's smart enough. She became Primus in like 2 days or whatever in her house because she knew the system, knew how to work it or work around it. And then Severo, I feel like I would have freedom to get a goal accomplished, but that might also be bad because then there's too much freedom. I almost need to be like reined in a little bit. So, and that's Severo's issue himself, where he needs Darrow to counteract his internal Severo. So,
The Severo of
yeah,
it all.
yeah,
The second theme that I've got is just friendship. This is, we talked about it a little bit in the chapter where Cassius and Darrow have the race to the banquet table.
yep,
I forget what chapter that is, but this is really the chapter where they kind of cement not just their friendship, but the friendship between Darrow, Cassius, and Severo, which comes into play hugely later
yeah,
in the series, but also this idea of like the early days of making friends, like how exciting that was when you were a teenager, um, finding out, kind of pushing each other to see how far you can get away with ribbing each other, and then also getting a sense of like, oh, this topic
yeah,
means something more to that person, so I shouldn't,
yeah.
jump on it. And then
And you defend
oh,
it when somebody else like happens to push those boundaries, and that's when yeah.
exactly.
So, 100%.
And kind of getting the sense too of like, this means a lot to that person. So not only am I not going to touch it, and not only will I defend it if somebody else does touch that, this is a place to give them space, and if they come
Yeah,
to me with it, like, okay, now
yes,
we're even tighter bonded,
yep,
because this really means more to that person than I had any idea. um and I think you see that a little bit with Severo coming, and again, we'll dive in here, but coming out of the bush, out of nowhere, and them just kind of being like, "Oh, that's who he is." We'll give him a little bit of shit. We'll talk about him jerking off, but like he
yeah,
clearly, it means he feels like an outsider. So what are we going to do? We're going to fold him in and
yes,
bring him in, bring him out from the cold, and that I think is a unique, not unique to men or males or whatever, but it is a particular experience for male friendship at that age, where it's all about feeling out where power is and where trust is, and how
yeah.
those two things interplay.
And like how willing you are to share a weakness. It's when those bonds grow when you're learning more and more about each other and how you interact. Like we when we were 16 or something, what made our friendship stronger? Like my family was going through something, and you and I were like we were there together, and that like helped solidify our young adult life. And then that's again, we're still here years later. I can barely walk, but we're still friends. And we get older and falling apart, and we're still
For
going.
sure.
But yeah,
I'll never ever forget like looking out at my grandfather's funeral at the church and seeing a few particular faces, and
yeah,
that, you know I never got any shit from anybody for that because it was such a soft spot, but
yeah,
it it meant the world that there were people there that recognized like, oh, this is very important to this person, even though it doesn't really mean anything to us other than it's
yeah,
important to this person that we love.
yep,
And I think you can see that in this chapter between the three of them kind of blossoming into this. It's not even like a friendship at this point, it's like a teammate thing, but then by the end of the chapter
it
you can
grows.
see where it is, where it lies.
It's almost a
um
necessity at first, but then it grows into something. And hopefully, for the Severo minute, you have his like one quote from this chapter that Severo says. So I hope you included that.
oh shit, I don't
If
know.
not, I mean, he says
If
like
not, you
6
have it.
words. I have it. I have it marked off.
I hope you have it because I don't know.
I have the one quote right here that he basically says. Well, he says a couple sentences when he pops out, but this is all the
Yeah,
ones
yeah,
you
okay,
got.
okay.
Yeah,
All right, so the chapter recap goes as thus: Darrow, Roke, and Cassius intend to continue with the plan that Darrow has hatched, but not really let them in on, or at least we don't know.
That's true.
as the reader. We don't know because it is insane to me that they all like do the things that he wants them to do unless he told them to do that and why he wants them to do that. It's very hard to believe that they were just like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to go do this thing now. And, you know, he had to have let them in, which actually makes your argument more valid
Yeah.
because Roke is not doing these things of his own volition. He's doing it because Darrow told him to, which probably means Darrow told him why. So maybe we're back to square zero with Roke there.
Uh-huh.
Fuck off. To continue with the plan, but are now more animated to see its execution because Quinn is in the balance. Part of the plan requires Cassius and Darrow to run to the extent of the known map and encounter the horse tribe that they know is out there. They don't know who it is, they don't know what house it is, but they know that there is a tribe out there that has access to horses and is kind of working almost like the Mongols, where they're on the flat plains, the grassland, and they are scouting out pretty vigorously. They encounter at this point a girl on horseback. She's covered up her sigils, and she's also covered up any insignia for the house.
Just smart.
But she has three diagonal streaks of blueberry juice across her face. She is, as you said, the same girl from the locker room that blushed at Darrow when he blushed back and then ran away. And she's the same girl that laughed at Darrow when he fell off of his pony and she was riding like a
The
desterrer,
Black Stallion.
massive war horse. Yeah, Black
Yeah.
Stallion. Um, she's small, delicate, but clearly highly intelligent, and she's able to verbally spar with both Cassius and Darrow at the same time. We have a lot of back and forth here where uh, Cassius is trying to play this, strongman, movie star, gallant hero, and she is gracious enough to give him the ability to play that role, but also realistic enough to know that it's an act.
Yes.
Um, and I think she also does a really good thing with Darrow here, or at least maybe this is my perception of it, but she can tell that he is lying.
Yes.
Like
Yep.
she doesn't believe anything that he says.
And it's smart enough where Darrow's pointing out, he's like, "Oh, our castle's over there," and he's pointing in the wrong direction, and she's just like, she doesn't flat out say like, "Oh, you're lying, you're full of shit," but like she laughs, like knowing,
Yeah,
like, all right, I need to watch out for this one because he's not as dumb as he looks. So, but yeah, she picks up
and
on all of that, and she calls him the Reaper because he has that scythe, and yeah, I don't
there's
know
a
if I'm jumping
sense.
over on your notes.
No, no, no. That's exactly right. I think there's a sense there, or at least in my reading of, I don't think she's not sussing out the big lie that he
No.
is a red in gold clothing, but she is aware that there's something deeper going on
Yeah.
and that she is capable of reading this early on, even in this quick interaction, that like this is somebody to watch. There are depths here that are not in, say, a Cassius who just wants to be Primus because his dad was Primus and because he's going to be an Imperator someday.
And
There's
what I
more here.
I like what we learned also through this interaction, we learned how other houses actually existed because Mustang does
Yeah,
let out that excerpt that each house was only given something according to their deity, right? So she from the house that we don't know yet, but her house was given horses, and she looks over at Darrow and Cassius. She can see House Mars sigils on them because they're just blatantly wearing them,
like
and she
dummies. They're just
yeah,
wearing them.
and she notices that Cassius has a pitchfork and that Darrow has the Reaper's scythe and or sling blade, or all golds call them a scythe. They don't call it a sling blade.
Yep.
But she picks up on that. It's like, well, Mars doesn't have those tools. They wouldn't. So that's grain equipment. Clearly, House Ceres is around here somewhere. They're the ones that should have this grain equipment. So they already know Mars and Ceres are within the same area and attacking one another. She picks all of this up just from this interaction. And that's what I learned from this interaction. Is like, oh, each house was only given so much shit. They wanted House Mars to be in a house that didn't have a river going through the castle and a stone wall that didn't spark with flint because they wanted House Mars to be starving and like ravenous and trying to go out and be savages. They need that in the game. So
So then the question is, what did they give House Mars? If every other house received something from their deity, what did House Mars receive?
just their own pure rage. They like they're
That's the word. That's
yeah,
exactly what I was going to say. Is it's rage. That's the
yeah.
gift. That's the
Because
weapon. That's
you
their tool.
so I don't want to say it. Yeah, where Mustang's from's like the brains, and then
Yeah, it's
Mars is just
House
supposed to
Minerva.
be yep Minerva, and then Mars is just supposed to be pure rage, and they're supposed to branch out, and then Ceres, of course, is the harvesters. But then you learn within this society, you need all of those different jobs, functions to work. So you need these houses to basically capture one another to build your society correctly according to this gold universe.
So, though she's small and delicate, she's highly intelligent. She's able to pick up on these context clues and breadcrumbs that neither Cassius nor Darrow even figured to try and hide, let
Yeah.
alone thought that somebody might be able to put information together from.
Yep.
And she's able to figure out not just what house, but what other house they come into contact with, and what their status is at that time because of their weapons. So they're clearly not advanced, or they're not being given any kind of special treatment or attributes. They try to subtly sneak up on her and steal the horse, but the horse that she's riding. But she is not just a face and is able to maneuver out of harm's way. So there's a couple of instances where Cassius and Darrow try and get the drop on her. So
Hmm.
Darrow at one point goes up on his toes to see if she changes her weight. Cassius sidles up a couple of small steps to try and grab the reins from her. And in both instances, she backs the horse away, which is also from what I've read, is a very difficult maneuver for a horseback riding person.
Yeah.
Just the idea of trying to get the horse to move backwards is tough. Um, so
In a
she's
straight
able
line.
to,
Yeah.
yeah,
Without
exactly.
like turning the horse's head or anything like that. And well, we haven't touched on it too. So the reason why Darrow names her Mustang is because she won't say what her name is, and
Oh
he
yeah,
just
good point.
calls her, what the horse she's riding. Um, I just thought of that. Did all right,
Yeah,
didn't
the
mean to
only
bring that up.
reason that we know her name is Virginia is because later one of her house members will
Yeah.
yell
Yep.
Virginia, and
Yeah.
and probably if I'm reading her character right, she'll be like, "Fuck, you shouldn't have said that."
Probably.
Like
Yeah.
when Ralph and what's her name? What's the woman's
Harmony.
name? Harmony. Remember when they pick up
Yeah.
Darrow
With their
and
bass
Ralph
on.
says,
Yeah.
and he says her name, and she's like, "Ralph, what the fuck?"
Yeah. Mustang. Or
That,
no, no, no. Dancer said, "Don't tell him anything." Yeah. Oh, thanks, Ralph.
exactly.
Yeah.
Cassius does manage to bring Mustang and her horse down. There's a brief kind of kerfuffle. And in that moment, Cassius flings wildly the stick or staff that he's got and
Yeah.
trips her up. And for a brief moment, Darrow is concerned that she's like mortally injured. He screams at her, "You could have killed her." And Cassius says, I know," because
I'm
both of them
sorry.
are clearly freaking out. They've made a mistake here. They might have accidentally injured somebody that we think maybe they are just worried that she's like the hot, smart chick. But
Mm.
we learn No, she's actually integral to their whole plan.
Yes.
And that if she was injured here, then their plan might fail.
And what I like,
Which,
oh, sorry.
no, no, you go ahead.
I like with the interaction too, because Darrow's pissed and he's like, "Oh, what the hell? You almost killed her." And Cassie is sorry, sorry. Like I don't know my own strength. And when Darrow goes up to her to check on her, she immediately she's feigning like she's knocked out or dead, snapped her neck,
Yeah.
and she pulls a blade out and like jams it in his groin. It's she's feisty, you know, and she's smart and plays dead. But there's an interaction between the two of them. Darrow grabs the blade, pushes it aside, and then she says something like very calmly, like, "I knew you wanted to roll around in the mud." Like it's
So did she say that or did he say that? Because I read it as he said,
I thought
um,
she said it.
no, I know. I and the first time, so it goes because I've got it marked here.
Yeah.
My hand is. I run to see if she's broken her neck. That
Yep.
would ruin everything. She's not moving. I lean in to feel her pulse and sense a blade graze my groin. My
Eesh.
hand is already there to twist her wrist away. I take the knife and pin her down. I knew you wanted to roll me in the mud. Her lips smirk. Then they purse as if she wants to kiss. I recoil. Instead, she whistles and the plan becomes a bit more complicated.
I
So
read it
I
as
read that.
her.
Okay. All right.
I,
I mean, that's probably right.
and that that remind me, like, so in this situation, people are trying to jump on you. They knock your horse down. You're on the ground. They're already on top of you, and you think like, I'm going to antagonize you a little bit more. Like, oh, I thought you wanted to roll around in the mud, and then you blow a little kiss. And playing hockey. I used to like hit somebody and then blow kisses at them, trying to get them to
Yeah,
swing
yeah.
at me or do something stupid.
You're probably right. Now that I'm rereading, maybe I was over reading there, but I get what you're saying. You're kind of pulling, and this is a very Mustang thing to like
Yeah,
pull him deeper and deeper into the trap, and then before he knows it, you're whistling, and all of a sudden the horse hooves are pounding around him, and
yeah.
he's got to get the hell out of Dodge.
Because of
If
course
he's
she's
not
not alone.
And if he's not focused on her 100%, maybe he hears or
Yeah,
susses out the trap before it's sprung. So yeah, I think your reading is probably right there. Um, and to what you were just saying, plans within
yep,
plans. So like she engaged them and started talking to them to try and get more information, knowing that, well, it's possible that they might be able to kidnap me, capture me, get me off my horse somehow. So what am I going to do? Well, I'll have horsemen somehow hidden in the tall grass, and when I give a sign, they'll come rushing towards me. And they'll also know that we need to be able to then move directly in one direction or the other to take advantage of the fact that these two guys are no longer with the rest of their tribe.
yep.
Just
Isolated.
masterfully done.
Yep.
Cassius and Darrow. So she blows, she whistles, and her backup comes flying in on horse. And Cassius and Darrow flee into a nearby lock as the now revealed House Minerva army rides for Castle Mars. They do, however, leave two guards to ensure that Cassius and Darrow stay in the lock, and these two guards, very unfortunately for them, have the ignominious duty of babysitting these two kids as they doggy paddle in the middle of a lake. And when the sun sets and dark comes out, well, that's when the wolves come out. And
Yeah.
Severo makes his grand appearance, comes out of the night, and makes his triumphant entry just in time before the two swimmers were in real danger. And he puts the two guards down, and then the three trade playful barbs. And at this point, we get a sense of how far Severo is willing to go. Um, like you said, he knocks out these guards, and then I think Darrow says something to the effect of, "Well, why didn't you kill them?" or
Or
you know,
did
jokingly
yeah,
is like, "Did you kill them?" And Severo is like, "No. Did you want me to?
yeah. Should I have? Yeah,
Or should I have?" Yeah.
yeah,
And that is uh, yeah. No. Yeah, it's top of 202. He says, "No." Severo cocks his head at me. And I imagine like a golden retriever, like that, like little
yeah,
weird, like I heard a noise.
yeah.
Should I have? And then Darrow says, "Why are you asking me like I'm a proctor? Or why are you asking me like I'm a praetor?" I laugh. You know what's what. And Severo says something that I think like really encapsulates his character at this
Yes,
point, but also later in the books too. He said, Severo shrugs and says, "You're like me," and he looks at Cassius with disdain and says, "And somehow still like him. So should I kill them?" And it's this really important moment that I totally blasted by when I first read the books. I didn't clock it until, you know, probably the third time reading this chapter. I was like, oh, this is
mm,
where we get a idea that Severo is also different.
yes. And we know Darrow, like you mentioned before, he's three people. He's the red, he's a gold, and he's the reaper. And Severo is picking up on, well, you're like me, the reaper side, but you're also like Cassius when you're just trying to be this, humble, well, not humble, but you're trying to be this gold type chivalrous
Huh.
person.
You know what's funny about that is I did not get that same reading.
Hmm.
I thought he was like, "You're like me, a red, and also like Cassius, a gold." I did not get
Oh,
it like, "You're like me, like the Reaper."
yeah. Yeah, I saw
Because
it
I
as
don't
like
think
savage.
Severo is.
Severo is savage.
I mean, he is savage, but
Yeah.
he's savage with orders. Like he has to be ordered to be savage. I don't think it's in his nature to be savage.
Hmm.
Because if it were, he would have
Oh,
killed
it's
those
in
two
his nature.
guards.
It's in his. I mean, how
No.
about when his kids, are taken and he's just running rampant all through
Okay.
Luna?
That's him being given
You're right.
orders.
Yeah, it's true. He was given orders, but he had. Well, yeah. I didn't see it as a color thing at all. I like how you're piecing it together, but I don't know if that's something he would have picked up on this early in the story.
That's why I'm saying it's really a interesting,
Yeah.
important little moment because like
Yeah.
that's foreshadowing to the audience. You're like me, but somehow also like him.
Yeah.
You're a red like me, even though I don't know I'm a red,
Yeah.
and also a gold.
I saw it as like you're like me, the Reaper side, but you're also like him more. You know, I want to be that elite gold or what is the?
Which I think is a totally valid reading.
Yeah.
I don't think one is more right than the other. I think they're both totally valid. I just, I like I said, I blew by this when I first read it, didn't even clock it, and now I'm like, oh my god!
Mm,
If you actually sat in this and thought about it when you first read it, it tells you pretty much what's about to come in terms of Severo's identity.
yeah.
Um, but why would you think that when you first read it?
I think Severo is like, yeah, he does follow orders, but he is pretty savage. I think he doesn't not much holds him back really. He's willing to
Yeah, but
do
would he do
anything.
that if he had a choice?
I think he would until later in his years when he had reasons to change and all of a sudden he wanted to be get out of that lifestyle. I think he enjoys it. He enjoys the fucked up nature. I think he does.
All right. Well, I'm not going to argue with you, but I think he enjoys causing pain because he feels a lot of pain.
Well, that yeah, that's I consider that part of his savagery. Yeah, it's the same thing. You're just saying what I'm saying.
No, 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 no. Savagery a like an animal,
Mm,
savagery as
it's
part of his
uncontrollable.
nature is yeah, he wouldn't have not killed those two guards. If he was just naturally savage, like Vixes, he would have killed those guards and not even questioned why you wouldn't kill those guards.
All
The
right,
fact
so
that he
Darrow,
didn't immediately kill them it speaks to him not being savage.
well, he does it later on when they're trying to sack a city or a castle, and then Darrow like didn't specifically tell Severo not to wipe everyone out, and Severo's going through with his blades, and he's just completely crippling these other students where medbots are just coming and taking them immediately out of the game. Like he,
But he's not
I don't.
killing them.
Well, you don't know. They're being removed from the game, so they're either maimed to the point where they're
But I
fucked,
mean,
or
if
there
he
are.
can cripple them, he can probably kill them.
Yeah, no, I see your point, but he's got a very long leash. Let's just say maybe he's not fully unclipped or something. He has some leeway.
Okay, all right. Again, I don't think there's a right or wrong reading here. I wonder because Severo breaks at a certain point,
Yeah, yeah. Well, they
and
all do.
yeah, but I mean, the savage, the truly savage in nature, don't
Yeah. Well,
right?
yeah, true, because it's who
Apollonius,
they
like
are. Yeah,
that's who they are.
yeah. They see nothing wrong with it. All right, so yeah, so
Exactly.
he
That's
does.
the thing is,
Okay, I see your point, and I concede. I get that, but he's not. If
you
if
just
he's
want him to
bad,
be a fucking lunatic so that you feel like there's
I
also lunatics.
yeah, well, maybe if there's more in the world, then I feel better. Yes,
You're not so alone.
and isn't that all just several wants? Okay,
That's all he wants is
yeah,
to feel like he's part of a family.
yeah. All right, so don't hate me for
Severo,
wanting the same.
I'm not criticizing at all. Severo, on his own recognizance or of his own intelligence, recognized that this plan that Darrow hatched could go really sideways if the House Mars standard was stolen
Yeah,
in battle. So, you know, on his own volition, he decided to steal it himself and secure it so that whoever Darrow was able to convince to attack House Mars, they couldn't possibly actually win because the standard was no longer at the castle.
yeah.
That proves to be a huge, huge thing.
Hell yeah.
Which, like, again, this is one of those like Darrow makes a big plan, doesn't really tell anybody what's going on, or he tells everybody a little bit of what they need to know, and then hopefully it all works.
Yeah.
But if Severo doesn't do this, game over.
Yeah, they're fucked. And that was
They're
something
all
he
fucked.
said. He just Darrow tries to explain. It's like, well, that's a risk we have to take, and it's like, well, why? Like
No,
that's
it's
no.
not.
And like several said, he's like, no, that's why I stole the standard and I buried it. And they're like, that's awesome. You know, why didn't we think it? Darrow says that, and why didn't I think of that? But that also shows the skill that Severo has, where he has the ability to sneak into the castle whenever he wants, steal the damn standard of their own house, and bury it. And as we learn, he also knows how to get into some other places that we haven't figured out exist in this institute. He hasn't just been fucking around hiding the whole time.
And there's an element here of like Severo isn't maybe as strategically gifted as Mustang. Obviously, nobody is. But he's not, and maybe again, he's not as strategically gifted as Darrow. But he's really important to Darrow because he can see the flaws in Darrow's grand plan.
Yes.
And he saw it without even really being consulted or involved. And he was able to say, oh, well, wait a minute, here's a problem.
Yeah.
And I'll fix it. I won't even wait for you to tell me to fix it. I'll fix it for you. All right. So he steals that. And then they set out. Now, Darrow, Cassius, and Severo, the band of three, recognize, all right, well, she came from somewhere. So they track down where she came from, which is Castle Minerva. That's the Roman version of the Athenian god, or the Greek
Athena.
god
Yeah.
Athena. And she is famously a goddess of war, a goddess of thought, a goddess of logic, reason, rational thought. And Darrow and Cassius, they get in there and they wreak havoc upon the Minervans. They destroy their war room, steal their horses, deface their maps and their war table, and they maybe most importantly, they steal their cook.
Yes.
Was it her name is June?
June, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and
it's the interaction where Cassius is like, "What are you doing?" And Darrow's just carrying this gold, running out of the castle, and it's like, "It's their cook," and it's just like laughing, like, "Okay, like that makes
cackling
sense."
like
Yeah,
in the chaos of the moment. It all is, it's clear to Cassius, like, oh, this makes sense,
yeah,
even though it's an
yep,
absurd thing to say.
yeah. You're just like, let's go in, let's torch the place. This was the goal. Nobody mentioned anything about stealing anyone, and he just comes running out with a gold screaming in his arms because I'm stealing your cook, fuckers.
Which is again like another Dara didn't tell him the plan, but
Yeah,
Cassius is good for it because he's like, sure, I'm along for the ride.
yeah.
Whatever, I don't care. Cool, we're stealing a cook. There's
And
another Cassius. No, go
also
ahead.
important is not just the cook, but they end up stealing Minerva's flag.
Yes. Well, so
So
we'll get there. But
yeah,
first, there's a quick moment there that Cassius or Darrow has looking at Cassius. So they're breaking in, and at one point, one of the Minervans walks by, and Darrow's like, she must have been particularly attractive
oh
because
yeah,
Cassius makes a face at me and then motions to follow her. And again, it's one of those like, oh, these are young guys that
yeah,
are enjoy being around each other because I can imagine the face he makes at him is like, yeah, look at this.
yeah. I guess I'm going
And then
this
he's
way
like,
now.
I guess I'm going this way.
Yeah,
In the middle of like a battle, they're about
yeah,
to upend a castle of their enemy. And he's like, I'm going to go follow this tail.
yeah,
We'll see you later.
yep,
Um, it just kind of, it's those little character moments that I like, particularly with Cassius, because you don't really outs because he's not one of the perspectives that you get to read. You're
yeah,
not seeing how he thinks. So you got to build his character and who he is based on how he interacts with Darrow. Um, and so I thought that was funny. But anyhow, to what you were saying, they kind of wreak havoc. They light the castle kitchen on fire. It's not a blaze. Like they're not looking to destroy the castle or kill anybody. They just want everybody's attention somewhere else, and they want them to feel vulnerable. The
yes,
Minervans have had it very good. They are smart and calm and logical, so they've addressed every problem that they've come to in a very rational way. And yes, they're still war fighters. Pax is amongst them, and Darrow, he sees Pax off in the distance and is like, "Holy shit, that guy's as big as an obsidian." He
yeah.
also notices in the war room that they have this one warrior whose name is Pax, who's taken like six slaves and put eight people back at up to
Oh,
Olympus because
Olympus, yeah,
they had to get med bots to come pick them up. So he's like, they can definitely fight, but they're living too high on the hog. So
yes,
let's make them play the game a little bit. Let's take what they want and make them feel pain. And in doing that, and again, excuse me, I think this is part of Darrow's plan. Put Severo at the back or at the rear exit of the castle
yep,
and have him lurking in the background, waiting for whatever Minervan had the bright idea to grab the standard and run into the forest with it to save it. Well, they run right into Severo, and
yep.
he is able to grab the Minervan standard, and then the three of them ride off into the night laughing and howling with the House Minerva standard and their cook, a gold named June.
The Goblin of Mars gets the standard, which is important too, because technically, according to the game, Severo was the one to achieve that goal of stealing another house's standard. That'll come up later, and then Darrow running off with and horses. They stole six horses, I believe,
Yep, yep.
with the cook.
All right. First off, I want to just say I just looked into my terms and questions, and I found most of my notes for the previous chapter.
Shut up.
Yep. Looking at them right now. Depictions of dehumanization, world building, institutional cruelty,
I
moral line
see
of
that.
Darrow. Yeah, very annoying. Anyhow, moving on to quotes in this particular chapter. So we have on 191, they, this is the quotes from the last chapter, son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Well, anyhow, the most important quote in this entire chapter, in my opinion, is not just a quote, it's a conversation. And it goes, uh, Darrow says, "Your suggestion, I ask, still shivering but impatient. He
Yeah.
could have helped us before." Severo says, "Get leverage to get them out after they do their job of taking Titus down, obviously." "Yes, yes, I get it." I shake off the last of my shivers. "But how?" Severo shrugs. "We'll take Minerva's standard." "Wait," Cassius says. "You know how to do that?" Severo snorts. "What do you think I've been doing this whole time? You silky turd? Wanking off in the bushes?" Cassius and I look at each other. "Kind of," I say. "Yeah, actually," Cassius agrees.
That's the
Not
Severo minute.
exactly, the Severo minute is the you silky turd, like
Yeah.
another beautiful like put down, but that whole interaction there is prime because you have true Severo, true Darrow, true Cassius interacting with each other in a way that you're like, oh, these guys are instantly friends, but also Severo has really been doing the hard work here without
Yeah.
anybody knowing it, without anybody acknowledging it, without anybody telling him to do it. He's been doing the shit that will save Darrow's ass.
Now, I just thought of this now. Earlier in previous chapters, everyone's like, "What the hell is Severo doing?" And then Cassius mentions he's like, "I think he's wanking off in the
Yeah,
bushes
yeah,
or
they
something."
they
Do you think Severo heard him? Was he off? Was he watching them or
Oh, do
listening
you
to
think he's
Matteo?
making a joke about a joke?
Yeah, I'd be like, what do you think I've been doing? Wanking off in the bushes? I didn't.
Oh, probably because why else would you use the same?
Yeah, but
Like if it
either
were
way, it's
Severo, he'd
awesome.
be like, "What do you think I've been jerking off?"
Yeah,
But
exactly.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think you're right because in the chapter you presented last episode was they talk about how like everybody's making fun of Severo except for Quinn.
Yeah,
She's the last one to call him the Goblin. She's the only one who knows where he actually lives.
yeah.
She doesn't laugh when Cassius makes fun of him jerking off in the bushes.
She
Um,
refuses to show anyone where he lives or talk bad about him or tell anyone else
yeah,
anything about Severo. Like,
yeah, I think you're right. I think you're 100% right because it's just the man says silky turd. Why would he say wanking off? That's kind of
yeah,
a posh, like upper class way of saying jerking off.
yeah,
In fact, if it were Severo, he'd be like, what do you think? I'm rubbing one out,
yeah.
playing,
He would say
pocket
something
pool?
weird. He'd talk about
Yeah,
like an
yeah,
animal or
exactly.
some,
Exactly. Like, I'm pulling my
my
turkey
red
gizzard. Like,
rocket.
what do you,
Yeah.
exactly. How many different ways can we say it?
Oh, how long do we have?
I'm choking my chicken.
Purple-headed yogurt slinger.
Oh boy, damn, Jesus Christ, you went all the way in.
I don't. I
That's what
mean,
she said.
how long do we? Yeah, this is
uh,
awful after last
yeah,
episode. Now it's even worse.
this is very inappropriate.
Yeah,
So the final sentence in the chapter, I think, is a good way to end it, where Darrow says, "The cook unconscious across my saddle, we ride under the starry night back to our battle torn highlands. The three of us laughing, cheering, howling."
yeah.
What more do you need? You have
No,
the three best friends, the three
yeah.
best friends.
And even if like
Just
the whole rest of the institute died at this moment, like everything ended, they'd be like, this would be a moment of victory they could remember forever, and
yeah,
they could always watch it forever in the future because we know there's um, video of everything that happens in this institute, and they can re-watch like their lives again as a little
forever.
foreshadowing. Yeah,
And they do.
And they do. Which has to be sad, I imagine. And it was like just rewatching those moments. It thinks back like I think back when we were in high school, looking at how life transpired now. If there was a video of us and how we grew up, like that would be so sad and depressing. I see my life as what was then, and then when I was in the Marines and after. And I always think of that was like my previous life. I'm not the same person. So if I saw everything back then and as like on a cassette or a CD, that would be so depressing to watch and to be like, I'm not that person anymore.
Yeah, that's interesting, and I think that probably has a lot to do with your lived experience being vastly different. Um, I think about this often. We talked about it last night.
Yeah.
One of my biggest regrets is not having any recordings of my grandfather. Like
Yeah.
I can't remember how he sounds. I don't remember what he laughs like. Um, and I feel that way, not morosely. I'm not like dwelling on it, but I think it would be great to have a video of me as like 9 years old and at
Yeah.
15 and then at 18. I feel terrible for young people today who are growing up with cell phones and
Yeah.
everything's recorded and everything's online and
They're not
everything
in the
is
moment. It's
and
not
everything that
experiencing.
they but also the opposite end of that is like everything that they do lives
Yeah.
forever. It
Yeah.
lives on the internet forever. They can never get away from mistakes. They can never surpass victories. They can never be a different version of themselves because they are exactly whoever they are the moment they first entered the internet.
Yeah.
And that's who, if you want to, you'll always be able to go back and be like, well, you said this. Well, you
Yeah.
did that. Well, that's who you said you were.
Even if it's
Um,
30 years later, apologize for
yeah, hundred
this,
percent.
Yeah.
And it never matters. Um, whereas we are of that last generation that wasn't on there,
True.
and so we benefit from that greatly, I think, and it makes our lives, whatever amount easier you want to say. But at the same time, like I don't know, there were some fucking fun ass, entertaining, dumb conversations that
Yeah.
I would find very entertaining to
I
listen to again.
So like 2, 3 in the morning talking about the
Yeah,
word absolute or having a debate around a
a
fire, the
hundred percent.
dumbest conversations. Yeah. That was us
Yeah,
growing up. Anyone else listening, Cullen and I and another friend of ours would just spend hours talking about stupid shit.
very dumb. But
Yeah.
even I would pay good money
Rewatch it.
to no to like listen to you flirt with a girl at 16 years old, or watch you and I like try and be tough at like 17.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just for the voyeurism of it, to it's like, what do you think the two most popular, say, hollow cans are available and you can relive any experience had by anybody through AI, which is probably coming down the pipeline.
Yeah.
But
I was going to say that. Yeah.
just imagine it. The two things that you'll see the most: porn
Yeah.
and people reliving like childhood memories.
Yeah.
And I think that's very human. So when they rewatch their time at the institute, I don't think it's like oh, I wish I was a different way, or I wish I was this person or that person or whatever. I think there's just a nostalgia. There's a wonderful warmth that you get. Why the fuck do you think like every movie now makes callbacks to stuff from the 80s and 90s? Well, because the people that pay for this know that the audience is now kids that were growing up in the 80s and 90s and
Yeah.
will pay extra money to go see something that makes them feel warm and fuzzy.
Well, plus
Uh,
90% of any new content is just not good anyway. So they have to like call back to something
that-
original that
it's
had
actually good shit.
substance. Yeah.
Very
That
true.
that seems to be lacking now as far as any new shit.
Spoken by somebody who grew up in the 90s.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think if you ask somebody in the 2040s what they thought of the stuff that they grew up with, they'd be like,
Yeah,
"Oh, it was great. Nothing new is coming out now. It's all derivative of what we grew up with in
true,
2022."
true. Shut up with your wise words.
Well, what can I say? Anyhow, this has been chapter 26, Mustang. As I think I've said multiple times, but certainly in this conversation, I have not said it, so I've refrained from it. But Mustang is my favorite character in the
Mm,
books, followed by Victra. And I wanted to bring
yes.
this up with Skipper. I totally forgot this,
Yeah.
but like, I came into this series being a very, I don't want to say sexist, but like, I prefer books from male point of views, or I did beforehand.
Yep.
And I think that's more a function of I'm a man. I I connect better with that point of view. That's not a I don't, I'm not saying don't write books from female point of view. I just
No.
that's I connect better with it. And so it was unique to me to be like, oh man, that character's so interesting. I really wish we had her point of view.
Yeah.
And to go through the next few books and not have that point of view, it just kind of built it up. It stoked the flames the whole time. I was like, damn, why don't we get to see how she's seeing this? Like,
Yes.
she's so smart and so strategic. I want to know how she's seeing the game board. And then we get it, and it's like,
I was gonna
it's
say, yeah.
exactly what you
How do you
wanted.
feel? Yeah. When it happens, I loved every single one of those chapters.
They, in a
How her
way,
brain works, and it
yeah,
made sense. And you saw in this chapter, it's like, holy shit, she's 6 moves ahead. And then when you deep dive into her first person perspective, you're like, oh, how the fuck does she like? When does she sleep? Her mind's
truly,
always going.
truly, to the point when, in a later book, she gets drugged and
Yeah.
they're like fucking with her brain. And she's like, oh, I'm drugged right now. Oh,
Yes.
they're
And
trying to
she's
do this
putting
to
in
my brain.
blockers. Yeah.
It's like,
She's
oh
prepared
shit.
for it, and she put in steps and I can't think of the word, but she made certain defensive mechanisms within
Yeah,
her
like,
own body
like
and mind to for like,
kill switches and fail
yeah,
safes and retreat points and stuff like that. That is very much like, whoa, this
yeah,
is a character that is kind of must be fun for Pierce Brown to write because she's almost godlike.
yeah,
Like
and
his
yeah,
whole, I bet you when he's writing her, he's like, how smart can I make her? And then what are the biggest fucking obstacles I can throw in her way? So like build her up, and then boom, here's a giant obstacle. How does she get out of that situation?
yeah. But it's
Make
that's
her
Darrow
smart,
too,
and then
though.
boom.
So I feel like she's
Yeah,
just as
that's
big
fair.
as Darrow. Like it, everyone ends up loving him and like his struggle and how he fights through shit, and then Pierce just throws a fucking curveball at him. And this is just the female version. This is Mustang Darrow. It's written very similar, but I love both of them. And I didn't
Did
realize
you?
until you mentioned it how like a lot of the outside world kind of perceives how women are written in the story. I didn't pick up on that. I love learning that now how people see it that way, but
Yeah, I mean,
that was
dive into
new to me.
Reddit, and a lot of Reddit is like, oh yeah, Pierce writes women just as like a vehicle for the man, or
Yeah.
the emotional life of the female characters is very limited, and they're just pretty, and they're just there as like window dressing, so that people won't complain that he doesn't have any women in it. It's like you guys are reading a different book because
Yeah.
the most formidable character in the entire first book is Mustang. She
I
beats
agree.
two people. She beats Darrow and she beats the Jackal.
Yes. Yeah.
So the two most unbeatable characters in the book only get beaten by one character,
And
and it's
she
Mustang.
and she influences a lot of Darrow's growth throughout the first book. Like he wouldn't become the person that he is if it wasn't for her. And we'll get to those
There's
chapters. I know it's a big
totally.
chapter that you want coming up and to cover, and it's what they form together. It she's huge. She's pivotal. I don't, but
And
I
there's a
like
whole
hearing other different perspectives, and it's like,
for
well, I
sure,
don't
for
see it
sure.
that way. but it was a little eye opening for me.
Well, it's also like that's just Mustang. We're not even talking
Yeah,
about Victra. Like
yeah,
enter Victra, and then it's like you have no argument. The two most compelling characters in the whole fucking series are these two women. One
yeah.
that you get a perspective on, and one you don't even get to be in her mind, but the whole time you watch her interact, and you're like, wow, if
Or
you had
yeah,
a Victra in your life, you would feel like you could never fail.
you got Mama Bologna, or oh, I can't think of the far off planets, and you got the woman like running the whole
Yeah, Diomedes' mom.
mother. Yes, yeah,
Yeah,
like they're huge characters, but
yeah, Volga,
yeah, yep,
Sephi the Quiet. Like they are not just window dressing; they are
no,
pivotal, essential. Octavia O'Loon.
yeah,
Like they could have just as easily made that a male character.
yep.
Like nobody would have batted an eye if it was Octavius O'Loon.
I feel like if you just had this first book, no other books, it was he. Let's just say Pierce Brown. Never, hopefully, never happens. He just died. This was the only book that he had, and you have Darrow's story, and then Mustang, and the whole like cave, and it's like, well, she was kind of helping him and being flirtatious. Like, okay, okay, but not through the whole
Maybe,
series. It was,
maybe.
yeah, maybe, but that's the best argument I could think of. But if you go through the whole series, there's some badass women, and they're not just window dressing. You know,
Who is the best? The best razor master in the entire series.
Aja.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
from the jump, you can make an argument that there are other people, but Aja
Even
over and over and
Arcos
over,
was like,
everybody says
you
she's the
don't
best.
fight a wave and you don't fight Aja, or whatever the quote
Exactly.
was. Like
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
and
Like
he's the king shit, and he's like, you no, you don't fuck with her. Like you just don't do it.
so, and maybe this is a male thing where it's like, well, we're just talking about them because they're competent fighters and stuff, but like, I don't know.
No, it's beyond that.
If Darrow was a shitty fighter but just was like a nice guy, there wouldn't be a book about him. You
True.
know, like
He would be a rogue.
they're they're in it for exactly. They're in it for a reason. And
Yeah.
Roke, fuck you, was still a really good.
You said yes. You agreed to it.
I didn't catch it at first,
Yeah.
but Roke was a modern day Nelson. Like you're talking about one of the great tacticians of all time.
I know.
So
And later
fuck right
on,
off with that.
yeah, it was painful reading those chapters, and it's like, oh, that guy's fucking good. But
He's talented. He knows what he's
yeah,
doing. Did you the one thing I want to leave off on, and then I'll let you go. But the
I have
Hemingway
one
quote
howl
I
of
reposted.
appreciation. That's it.
Oh, okay, okay. Um, this kind of encapsulates Darrow throughout the series, and it's a Hemingway quote from The Old Man and the Sea that I reposted on our Instagram, which is at Sons of Aries Pod on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, wherever. But the quote is, "But man is not made for defeat. A man can be destroyed, but not defeated."
Yeah,
And that is Darrow.
yeah,
In my reading, over and over and over, you get destroyed,
yes.
but he does not get defeated.
He's always the one that gets back up, even if he can't somehow. He finds a way to get up. If he's dragging, but what about this next book? How's it gonna go? Is
Well, all bets are off, my friend. I mean, we'll see.
the bill comes in the end, right?
Blood begets blood begets blood.
Yeah. But so I do have a howl of appreciation at for this
Which,
chapter,
by
and
the way, I love that you're doing this. I think this should be an every episode thing. So
yeah, we have the
continue
Severo
and
minute,
keep it
and
going.
then howl of appreciation. But this one, it goes out to my amazing wife, and so
Oh,
she has agreed, and we've talked about it before, but she's said, I'm doing it. I tried giving her my book. She said she's going to read it. And then she's giving the book also to my mother in law, who's been following us as well on Instagram.
I
I went
saw
out.
that. I saw
Yeah.
that. Shout out.
And I bought a brand new book because apparently mine with all my notes
The
and
notes.
highlighting marks probably would kind of piss Jen off, my wife. So, a howl of appreciation to her for dealing with me and talking about this book all the time and now willing to pick it up and start reading it. So that means the world to me. And so, yeah, much love.
So, am I gonna clip this and put it on social media so that she hears it, or is she actually listening to the episodes?
She hasn't started listening to the episodes yet. And yes, I have. You can clip that and do all that. I don't know if she's on the other side of the door listening right now too, but
What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clip that with you talking about Roke. So when you say my wife, and then I'm gonna cut in something that you say about Roke,
you should.
and
You should though,
we'll see how
just to
that
piss
goes.
me off, because that would be awesome. If you did that secretly, I would applaud you. I would
Oh
hate
man,
you, but I would applaud you.
that's such a funny idea for you to be like, howl appreciation for my lovely wife. That bitch is a poet, bitch.
Do it. Now you have to do it. I want to see that on its own. Just send it to me.
And I know that she's not going to listen to this 2 hour long episode, so she's not
No,
going to hear any of this.
you're
She'll
true.
just
All
hear the
right.
call.
Yeah. So put that in there, and we'll add in. Maybe I'll add
All
that
right.
howl appreciation on Instagram every now and then or something.
All right. I love it. I love it. Keep it up. And what do we have next?
That is a good question. We have the House of Rage, which is my chapter for 27, and then we have My Brother, chapter 28. So,
Okay.
and then
And
I
then
know
we've got
there's a very cool chapter.
Unity.
Yeah, that Cullen requested specifically that he wanted to cover
That's
because
that's still far down the line. We've
I
got
know
Unity and
you're
House
right.
Diana, and then we have the fall of Mustang, and then it's not until I think like the cave or something.
Was it called the
But
cave?
something I think it might be.
Oh,
Anyhow,
yeah,
follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at Sons of Aries Pod. Send us an email if you have thoughts, questions, comments, anything you want to share at Sons of Aries Podcast gmail or at
at Gmail.
gmail.com.
Yep.
And then, if you have artwork, music,
Yeah.
sculptures, anything that you're making that is in the Red Rising realm, send it our way, and we will be sure to give it a shout out or post about it or whatever you want us to do. And one more time, I just want to shout out Skipper.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for joining us. And if you are enjoying this or if you're not enjoying this, it doesn't matter. Go and listen to Fade to Obsidian on wherever you find podcasts, but particularly try and watch them live on YouTube on Wednesday.
Wednesdays.
It's Skipper and Crescent, and they have a great show there. They are currently going through the animals of the Red Rising world. So if you have a zoological mind or a interest in the fuzzy, furry friends of the Red Rising realm, check that out. And yeah, we'll be back with you guys for the next couple of episodes in no time. Chuck, you have a good rest of your weekend. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.